Lawrence R. Shadler, Florida, Baroda, Michigan, 5/28/27.
What kind of jobs did you have before you went into the military?
Whirlpool Corporation.
What were your military service? Did you get drafted or
Yes,
enlisted?
drafted.
Okay. What day and year?
Was in September of 50. I don't know what the exact date.
Okay. And you joined what branch? What branch of the military? Army. And where'd you do your basic training?
Camp Atterbury, Indiana.
Okay. And how long did that last? How long did that
6
last?
months.
6 months. What were the dates of your Korean service?
I got there Easter Sunday, March the 25th, 1951. And we got released from the POW camp on May 18th.
So you're there from March 25th, 1951 is when you landed in Korea? Okay. And when were you released?
We were released on May the 18th, 1951.
So you got there March 25th, 1951.
You got there in 51, you were released in 53, right?
50. What do you remember about your first impressions when you landed?
Well, when I first landed, I just told myself, why am I here? Because nothing ever looked like I ever seen before.
What did it look like?
Everything miniature, for one thing. Everything was miniature, even the people. Trains were miniature. They were rail cars, but very narrow and short.
So the trains were small, the people were small, the houses were small.
Yeah, but I don't know.
The buildings, you
But,
see any buildings?
I was on it. I got off the ship and got on one of them.
So the trains were small, the people were small. Were there any roads? Any roads? Or
Any
just-
roads?
Any roads?
Roads you drive a
Road.
car on.
Yeah. No more the roads, are more or less
Paths?
just paths. Trucks, we got trucks. But after we got captured, with foot.
Okay. So everything was small. What was your participation in any battles? As soon as you left Busan, what happened?
We went right to the front line. We stopped nowhere. Right to the front. Well, it took us about 3 days to get there from Busan. Most of the way was with trucks, but trained for a little while, then we went on trucks.
So you walked.
And
It took you 3 days to get there?
approximately that, yes. I know it took us a long time. We passed the 1st Marine Division on the way.
They were coming back? They were
They were stationary. They were like having like an Army Reserve or something.
What was your troop or battalion or division?
28th Infantry Division.
So you told the captain you saw some Chinese?
Yeah, I watched them over binoculars.
Okay.
The day we got run over the hill, I watched them all day.
Okay. And what happened next?
Well, it came night. And we knew that it was gonna hit us that night. And about what was that? Probably midnight, a little bit after. I was on guard at that time when they hit. The sergeant was in a hole with me.
So at midnight they came? At midnight?
I can't remember his name.
No, was it midnight when they come?
Approximately, yes.
Okay. So at midnight they started to attack?
and
Did
they
they
made a lot of
start to
noise,
attack at
a
midnight?
lot of noise, hollering and everything, you know. So we opened up and everything, and well, anyway, what really happened was, that's what was told to me later on, was that the Dutch pulled out and left a 2.5 mile gap in the line, where the Chinese, about 50,000 of them come through there, come around behind us. We had 1 and 2 and 3 lines set up. They came in between the first and second one. We couldn't
Since the
shoot them,
Dutch
and they couldn't
since the
shoot
Dutch
this way.
left.
And then we got off a hill, went up to 68 of us got off at a hill, and we went up on top. And we had ammunition with us and everything. We fought them off, and they were shooting up at us. And they had tracers on there. They probably captured it from us. They could shoot ours, but we couldn't shoot their ammo. They could shoot our ammo with their weapon.
Oh,
But we
really?
couldn't shoot their ammo. It was they had a 31 caliber, we had a 30.
So they could fit it.
Yeah, but they could do ours, but we couldn't use ours.
Wonder how they must have not shot very good then with the size difference, but they were able to just.
Well, anyway, we had radio and everything up there.
Mhm.
We seen our own men. We had our own men on the other side of the hill. The mob was like this. We came up this hill with him. We would start off down there, but they had machine guns set up on the other hill over there with tracers. We could see
The
tracers
enemy
coming,
was
so,
the enemy was shooting tracers.
yeah, every fifth one was a tracer. So when you didn't see no tracers, well, you took off. When we got down off of us, so they got out of line, they had a machine gun.
And you went down the hill.
And we went down the hill, but there was about 25,000 of them Chinese down below that hill. And they
Geez, that's a lot.
that was the lowest part of my experience in the
25,000 in front of
That's
you.
estimated. That's estimated. But they come by the millions, you know. I mean, they're like flies, and a lot of them don't even have all of them don't even have guns. They just make noise, and like some of them on the front line, or the front two lines, they got guns, and the rest of them don't have. We shoot them on the front, they pick up their gun and keep going.
Oh,
And anyway, they lined us all up. So the lieutenant was the captain.
How
Captain says
many men were captured?
68.
68.
Yeah.
When you went, you just say surrendered, or did they come up and point the guns at you and told you to drop your weapons, or?
No, the captain stopped. We were out of ammunition. I had no ammunition. And captain called up. He says, "Well," he says, "if you wanna attach your bayonets." But then we took our bolts out of our weapons and threw the bolts back up on the mountainside. Well, they lined us all up, individually, lined us up in a row alongside of a path. And then what the Koreans used to do is they'd line you up, and then a guy would come from behind and shoot him in the head, you know. So I'm the third one in the line. I'm the third one in the line. One of our guys didn't throw his weapon away, had a 38 in his boot, and it had a hair trigger on it. And they found it on him. Well, they played around, it went off. They threw it on the ground and went off again. So the third one was mine. So I'm sitting there like this waiting for it, you know. But it never come. So I opened my eyes, I looked at it, just like a bunch of ducks, you know, when they was walking over that 38.
The one of the soldiers of yours
Yeah.
had a 38 in his
one of
boot,
the, I don't know what his name was.
and
I don't know.
the Chinese enemy took the gun
Yeah.
and
They played it on when
played
it went
and it
off.
fired.
They threw it on the ground
Threw it
and
on
it
the
went
ground.
off again. And anyway, the third one was supposed to be mine, but it just never come. I know that for sure because they executed some on the march. If you were injured or fell out, they didn't want to. We could pick them up and help them. I helped.
So they marched
Yeah,
300
they
or
would go
400 of
east and
you.
west.
So they marched to
Pick
six.
up 3 here, 8 there, 6 there, until they got a whole bunch, and then they go up north.
So they marched a total of about 300.
Yeah, approximately. Maybe more than that, maybe a little less.
When were you captured? I didn't get that date.
May the 18th,
1950.
1951.
1951.
1951.
Okay.
I didn't even get drafted until September of 50.
Okay. October, November, December, right? So. Okay. May 18th, you were captured, and you stayed at the mining camp a week or two, or
But I would say we stayed there longer than that.
about a month.
Yeah, at least.
What camp was that?
That's debatable too. Some say it was 1 and some say it was 3. Well, I say it was 1 and we moved to 3 later on.
What'd you do at Camp 1?
What did we do?
Yep.
Wood detail. And mostly we spent the first winter in that camp. In the wintertime, you really couldn't go wood detail. It was darn cold. We used to get 30, 40 below zero.
How long were you at Camp 1, you think?
In Camp 1, I was in there about 8 months, maybe. Then I moved to Camp 3. We were there good.
This Camp 1, then you got moved
So we moved to Camp 2.
Camp
It
3?
was terrible, but it was still a little bit better.
at Camp 3. You were moved to Camp 3.
Got more rice, and
Did you get rice?
we got rice,
Okay.
and not so much sorghum.
Not so much sorghum.
Right.
Okay.
And then one occasion, maybe 2, 3 times while I was in Camp 3, he gave us a dish of like steamed bread. It was like a long john, about half of a long john. It didn't taste like bread, but it was steamed. It was kind of a doughy kind. I was lucky. I was right there by the cooks. I got more heat than anybody did. But the ones that are in the back, the houses are lined up like that, rooms. And they had flues going there. The chimney on one end, the flues, they might have been here as long as that building across the way there. And the ones that are in the back over there, the flues underneath the buildings are all with field rock. They're stuck with field rock, and they get hot, and that's where you get your heat from.
And it went
You
through
don't
the
get
floor.
heat from the fire.
It went through the floor, right?
Yeah.
Like a little tunnel
Smoke, and that goes through there and heats them rock.
to a duct.
And
Oh.
then by that, it heats the floor.
Oh.
And if you're right there we were, you had to move around quite a while to get burn your butt. But that was it got so doggone cold there. It used to freeze the birds to the death flying in the air. When they put the wings out to land, we picked several of them up. Take them in, warm them up, and let them go again.
What'd you find?
Birds that would come in to land in the wintertime, when they get about 30, 40 below zero, that they couldn't flutter their wings, to land.
Right?
They just run into the buildings, we just pick them up, let them come through and get them warmed up, turn them on, they'll take them fly away.
Oh, so you let them release them?
Yeah.
I thought you might have ate them.
No, we did too.
So you stayed there for how long at Camp 3?
That was for the duration of my time in the POW. So I'd say it was a good 14 months, if not even a little longer. I mean, that Camp 1 might have been a little shorter than I mentioned, but
You were like there.
basically
You were there about 27 months.
27 months.
Yeah. The whole thing.
And that just about took care of the 27 months.
What'd you do during the day? Did they try to convert you to communism?
You had to have school. You had to have a study about 1 hour and a half a day. And then they question you too on what you heard and what you learned, But we just like
And they gave you like little tests.
They called me in headquarters one day after we captured about 15, 18 months already. They called me in and he says, "What do you think about the war?" They had all propaganda in the papers, you know. Their army advanced 30, 40 miles every day. So I says, "Do you really want to know?" He said, "Well, that's what I asked you. What do you think about the war?" I says, "There's no reprimand. But if I told you the truth, there won't be no reprimand, right? No reprimand." But he got mad in hell after I got done.
What'd you tell him?
I told him, I says, "How do you like Hawaii?" He says, "Why you mention Hawaii? I never been to Hawaii." I said, "You've been to Hawaii twice." He said, "How you figure?" I said, "You gain 40 miles. The country's only 300 miles long. And you gain 40 and 50 miles and 30 every day. So you should be on the other side of Hawaii going to San Francisco." He said, "Go back to your room."
You're lucky you got off that easy.
Well, I asked him that before I went ahead and told him.
Yeah.
But they usually, what they say, they abide by what they say.
And how did the release happen?
All the company came together. All of us came together. Our camp. And they said, "The war is over."
You were told by somebody?
Yeah, and he says, "You're going back."
The Chinese told you the war was
Yeah,
over?
we're going back. There ain't too many of them could speak English, just, the spokesman. And he says, "Now you got to make twice the effort to not get into no trouble. Because anybody that gets in trouble now is not going back." So you never seen a bunch of people that are so good in your life.
So they behaved, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I guess they wanted to kind of make up for something. They give a bottle of sake, pass around, I didn't drink it, that's the...
They gave you a container of sake?
That was a bottle of sake. Not everybody, it's for a whole bunch of them.
You remember what day that was?
I can't remember what day that was. About 3 days before we got released.
When was that? So you were released in August of 1953?
Maybe in August 1953. I could be wrong there one day, or I'm back and forth. I don't remember that.
And brought to...
Some kind of a train depot. Just flat cars, we just got piled us on that.
So you went from a truck to a train?
From a truck to a train. And from there, we went to Incheon, I think it was.
Incheon?
That can be debatable too, but that's where we congregated, and everything is run by alphabetical order in the United States.
The North Koreans or Chinese took you to Incheon?
Chinese took us to...
That's in South Korea. You sure it wasn't Kaesong?
In South Korea?
The train, when you were released, did they have to bring you to a place where there was a tent or something where the officers asked you questions or anything?
No, they didn't. No more questions then.
Okay.
They just made sure you behaved yourself, and we did.
Right.
But they took us into a big building that they had bunks built all around.
So from the train to a big building.
Well, that was a holding pen rally. It was a holding pen.
Okay. This is still in the enemy lines.
This is still the enemy lines, but it's a split away from our line. They brought us POWs up there, and we brought theirs up.
So this is just north of the 38th parallel.
Yeah, and then they would call we had every one of them. They had of us. We had 10 of theirs. So they would repatriate say 100 of us, and 500 of them at a time. And it was all alphabetical. So I was one of the tail end of the ones that. And then they bricked it. When we left that building, they put you on a truck and took you I can't remember that, but it's in the very short ways. Then he had white stone paths like that, they're very short. And they backed the truck up, and you had to step off of that truck, you had to step onto that white stone. And then they were officially released when he stepped on that white stone.
So
And,
you left the building and put on trucks and brought to
there's high
this.
officers there was greeting us, you know. I didn't climb off that truck. I jumped and fell right in that kernel there. I was weighing 97 pounds. And anyway, they put about 6 of us in an ambulance, in the Army ambulances. And then they took us to a processing place. It's called Freedom Village, I guess, what they call it. And then we had to go in and we took a shower, which they deloused us. Everybody had lice. And they deloused us. And then we put all our clothes in a pile. They had to burn all them clothes. Then we took a shower and they gave us new clothes and that. And then they come around and ask you, what would you like for your first meal? Then we got individually interrogated by if we wanted to turn in anybody for things that they did in the POW camp.
Turncoats.
Turncoats, stuff like that, which we did. And then they turned us loose in the camp. They turned us loose around there. We laid around and we laid around. And it was 15 days before we got on the ship. And they fed us all kinds of vitamins and minerals, and we got very little food, mostly medicine.
A few days later, you were brought to a ship or something?
15 days later, we got on the ship.
Did you go by helicopter, by bus, or train?
Yeah, we gave us a ride by helicopter. Put us on and gave us a ride around. We took we went on a barge like to the ship. They couldn't get in, it was too shallow there or something to get right in. I don't forget about that, but it was sitting out there anchored away.
Mm-hmm.
And we went over on the Marine Adder.
Where'd you leave from? Busan or Incheon or?
Either Incheon or I think it was Incheon.
That's
There were different
amazing.
ships.
It's amazing that you landed on that ship. You had your name carved there, and then you left Korea in the same bunk.
Yeah. When I left when I left San Francisco, we didn't leave San Francisco. We left.
Seattle, Washington?
Seattle.
Mr. Shadler, you got phone 15 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Then I was talking with my mom. 3 of my sisters and my mother met me at
O'Hare?
at
Midway?
Huh?
Midway?
Midway.
Would they meet you?
Midway Airport in Chicago.
You get a Purple Heart?
No,
No Purple Heart.
I have 5 battle stars.
Okay.
Uh,
A POW medal?
POW medal.
yeah,
What was that red bucket?
that was the company I was in.
Oh,
That was the 38th Infantry Regiment.
oh, I see.
Called
That
the
was
Bloody Bucket.
Got a bucket?
Bloody
Yeah.
Bucket.
Bloody bucket?
That's the 38th Infantry
It's a
Regiment.
little medal?
That's not a medal, that's an insignia from their, what they are.
oh yeah, a
You
single.
ride always that on your shoulder.
A bloody bucket insignia?
Yeah,
It's just like a bucket, looks like a bucket.
yeah.
And that's from where?
That was from 38th Infantry Regiment.
What's the most memorable thing you always think about of your war experience? What's the thing you think about?
My war experience is, I think about, like if I see a post-traumatic stress, I had that very, very bad when I come home.
Oh, did he ever?
And some people put it on, you know. But man, I had it bad. I didn't put nothing on. And she couldn't touch me, I'd fly her over. And
To get him out of bed at night.
And now,
I
even
mean,
now,
early
to
in the
this
morning.
day, if I see an accident out of here tonight, I start thinking about this. I've seen a lot of dead people over there, see? And, well, that's kind of down on it. I mean, it's better, a lot better than it was, but especially post-traumatic stress. But it brings, this just sets something off if I see it.
If you see an accident or something?
A bad accident, plane crash or something like that.
When,
It's impossible for me not to read it.
The Gulf War was going on.
Yeah,
It
that
bothered him to death. And they said, well, stop watching it. And Larry, because I was going with him to a psychiatrist, you know, for a long time. And it took me 3 days. I was all shook up, you know, just what he had to go through.
Well, it's something that then all people will be that way. Eventually, there's something that'll set something off, you know.
How did the war impact your family at all? Your mother, your sisters?
How did it impact your family?
Well, it impacted them quite a bit because I'm the only boy, see, and among 8 girls. And my mom was notified that I was a POW. And they put it on TV when I was going to be repatriated. I had already been coming to the United States Command. So they stayed up for 3 days, and finally the third day they showed it on TV. It was uninterrupted.
They had a list of all
This was uninterrupted. And
They put a picture in the News Palladium
Yeah.
of your mother sitting there listening to the radio.
said they had an announcement of a list of all the POWs that are going to be released. This tape is going to go on the website. Is there anything you want to tell kids, friends, relatives in the future about the Korean War?
yeah, I would like to tell them that never to forget it. Which they tried to do to when we started. But it's coming back a little bit more now. Us POWs went, we made a lot of speeches out. I was only on one of them, to the school children. Maybe from 5th and 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. They were really interested to hear what we had to say about the war, what they should be looking out for, and what they should be honoring and not be against it. You know, when it started, it was a forgotten war, you know. But that's one of the things we want to put into these young people today, that it's not a forgotten war. Blood is blood, regardless of what war is shedded in.
Okay.
And it is I have a POW friend, he's dead now. His daughter is a school teacher, and she used to invite us over to their speeches with her classes. And she said that really does the children good to do that. And she says they really don't know what it is, but she tells them about what it is too, you know. And by doing that, and we answered any questions they have about it. We went about 2 hours by it. And but he goes there every